posing for the thumbnail. You're like, what are you doing, Mom? In this month's episode of Seek Out the Arts, we are exploring unidentified flying objects in art history. Hello everyone, Jennifer L. Scott here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. So excited for this one. This one is by popular demand because the last time we did Seek Out the Arts, we explored time travel in art history. And I told you I had some UFO evidence in art history, so a lot of you said you wanted to see it, so here we are. Seek Out the Arts is brought to us by the Chic Society. That is channel memberships here on YouTube. If you love this channel, if you would like to support it on a greater level, consider joining. I do one vodcast every Friday. Once a month we go live and do a Zoom call together, and we even have a pen pal program. You are seeing the top tier members here, and at the end of the video, stay tuned for the Elegant Connoisseurs. Okay, so as with the last one, this is a special summer episode. There's not going to be poetry or music. We're focusing only on the art. And as a side note, my son is in the room because he wants to hear this. So you might hear some giggling in the background. Okay, we are going to start off with the Crucifixion of Christ from the year 1350. This is a fresco that is inside the Decani Monastery in Visoki, Serbia, and it depicts the crucifixion of Jesus. So this monastery was built in 1350 at the order of King Stefan Dekanski of Serbia, hence the name of the monastery. And we do not know who the artist is, but the painting was signed with the name Serge. But there are no historical records of such a name, so it is unknown who the artist is here. So these types of frescoes are common in Orthodox monasteries, and they usually depict an important biblical moment with a lot of attention to detail and portrayed in the painting exactly as it is described in the Bible. So of course, everything kind of looks standard in the form of art history, but if you take a closer look, you see what looks like two spaceships or something that looks like a celestial thing moving through the air, okay? So these are, interesting details. They represent angels that are inside some kind of flying object, and I guess you could call this a UFO because these are unidentified flying object. This is not like something that we could identify, okay? So if you look closely at them, I mean, it's funny because they look to me like something from the Jetsons, especially that one on the right as you're facing the fresco. But experts in Byzantine art define this detail as a human representation of the sun and the moon. The detail was added to show the crucifixion of Jesus had such a huge impact that even the celestial bodies could feel it and were impacted by it. So the interesting thing is that, of course, a fresco for a monastery had to be approved by a panel. It's not like the artist could just completely have artistic license to do whatever they want. So they all agreed upon this, and I just think that these two unidentified flying objects are rather interesting. Let's move on to the next one, which is The Miracle of the Snow by Panicale. So this painting is part of the altar depicting the miracle of the snow. It was painted between 1428 and 1432 by Masolina de Panicale for the Church of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome. It now resides at the National Gallery of Capodimonte, Naples. It looks to me as if there's Jesus and the Virgin Mary at the top, and they happen to be upon a cloud, and then it looks like a bunch of flying saucers beneath them. Either that or like little clouds that are similar to the big cloud that they're on. But let's have a look to see what it says about this. Okay, so there is a legend attached to this event. So it says that between the 4th and the 5th of August in 352, Pope Liberius and Giovanni, who was a rich Roman gentleman, they dreamed of Mother Mary asking them to build a church devoted to her on the Esquilino Hill, one of the famous 7 hills of Rome. The Virgin also told them that at the place chosen to build the church, it was going to snow. So snow is extremely rare in Rome, even in the coldest seasons. So the next morning, when a rectangle of snow was discovered on the Esquilino Hill during the hottest month of the Roman summer, it was regarded as miraculous. So I'm going to look on the practical side of this, and I do believe that even though it looks like an alien invasion of flying saucers, I do think that these are representing clouds. But the way that they're drawn is is funny because if you look at it from far away, it does look like an alien invasion. But it is just to depict this miracle event. I don't know if this happened or not. This could just be legend. I'm not sure. If you know about this, let us know in the comment section down below. But these are the people that are looking at the snow, and then of course we see the celestial involvement of the Lord and Mother Mary. So let us know what you think about this one. Okay, next, let's look at the Madonna with Saint Giovannino. So there's one painting in the Lozer collection at Florence's Palazzo Vecchio that intrigues visitors when they come to stare at it. It is this one. This is the painting. This was painted in the 15th century by Domenico Ghirlandaio, who lived from 1449 to 1494. And so this, again, looks like a typical painting from art history, right? Madonna. But you look really closely in the background, and there is something in the sky that has people scratching their heads. So if you look closely, hovering in the background, just above the left shoulder of the Madonna is an oval-shaped object. Beneath this stands a man who appears to be looking up at the strange shape in the sky. And at his feet, the dog appears to be barking at it, okay? And that's funny because I didn't even notice that until I read a description about the painting. So here's a man in the background looking at this UFO in the sky. This object could be many things. Ghirlandaio could be interpreting an angelic presence or a depiction of a brilliant star. But when we zoom in close on it, this is such an unusual thing. It's a multitude of bright beams of light that are coming from this unidentified flying object. It appears to be a substantial construction, and it's this that convinces some people that it is a flying saucer. I mean, what is it? What is it? Especially when you consider the year that it was painted. Now, normally with something like this, I would think, well, maybe it's just a celestial being. Maybe this is his interpretation of an angel, because, you know, biblical angels are not the cherubic figures that we've come to know in art history, and some of them are quite terrifying looking the way that they're described. So I thought maybe this is a biblical angel, and maybe it is. Maybe this is the artist's interpretation of one. But it is rather interesting that the man and the dog in the back are looking up at it. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is so interesting. Okay, this one, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly because I've looked up the pronunciation and I couldn't find anything, but I believe it is Coccius's Woodprint. So this woodcut was carved in Basel, Switzerland in 1566, depicting a very strange aerial event. Black globes were described as moving with incredible speed and blocking out the sun as they covered the sky. So right off the bat, just looking at this, okay, because you see these balloon-like objects in the sky and you see all the men below that are really marveling at them. It reminds me of all those strange balloon stories that recently happened in the news. Do you remember those? Those mysterious spy balloons and things like that? So here's a bunch of them, and this is actually based on something that happened and that was recorded in history. So it says a series of mass sightings of celestial phenomena occurred in 1566 above Basel, Switzerland. The Basel pamphlet of 1566 describes unusual sunrises and sunsets. Celestial phenomena were said to have fought together in the form of numerous red and black balls in the sky before the rising sun. So this report is discussed among historians and meteorologists. The phenomenon has been interpreted by some UFOologists to be a sky battle between unidentified flying objects. The event is reported to have taken place in Switzerland in 1566, and according to Samuel Coccius, on the 27th and 28th of July and the 7th of August, many local witnesses in Basel reported seeing these celestial phenomena. So the first was described as an unusual sunrise, the second as a total eclipse of the moon with a red sun rising, and the third like a cloud of black spheres in front of the sun. So this is a recorded event, and the artist here has captured it in this painting, which is so fascinating to me. And so I love the fact that some of these paintings are based off of historical events, things that were recorded and actually happened. Of course, these are the artist's interpretations of it, so we don't know how accurate it is, but quite interesting. The other thing I think of is that song that was popular in the 80s called 99 Red Balloons. What do you think about this very strange phenomena captured? Okay, moving on to the next one. So many of these are religious works. So the next one, and I'm going to attempt to pronounce this correctly, is the Svetitskhoveli Crucifixion. In this Russian fresco, two strange objects can be seen on either side of the crucified Christ. They are either projecting lance-like beams toward the Christ figure, or they are departing as Jesus dies. You just look at both, and again, what are they? They look like jellyfish to me, like flying jellyfish or flying saucers with things coming out of them. Now, of course, this biblical event, the most known event probably in the entire Bible, and it has been interpreted so many times in art. And I just wonder why these artists would interpret it that way. Like, what are these flying objects? And this was painted in, if I can find the year that this was painted in, I will put it on the screen, but I don't have it in my notes right now. Again, I mean, I would love to know what you think these are. What do you think the artist was painting when he interpreted this scene? Because there's nothing like that in the Bible that describes these unidentified flying objects, so I don't know what they are, and I would love to know what you have to say about it. Next, we are going to study Israel, Put Your Hope in the Lord from the 1600s. This artist is also unknown. Okay, so this is a 400-year-old work that is housed in the monastery church in the medieval citadel in, and I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, Sighisoara in Transylvania. So this depicts a house surrounded by a thunderous sky that features a very mysterious disc-like object. Okay, so the flying saucer-like object is spinning down with what looks like fumes or like exhaust fumes. And the caption at the bottom of the painting reads, "Israel, put your hope in the Lord." Now, of course, UFO enthusiasts say that this is a UFO and it looks exactly like a UFO. This is what's so crazy with all of these paintings, because they're so old and they're from all different parts of the world, and there were no flying objects back then. There were no airplanes or helicopters or anything like it, that they were able in their minds to depict these things that we now have in our popular culture in movies and books and things like that. So it's just really remarkable here. Of course, UFO enthusiasts think that this is a UFO, but the art history manager here in the museum where this is housed does not think so. His name is Nicolae Tescula, and he said the church is evangelical and the image has a secondary role or is less representative. Indeed, there is a painting in the sacristy of the church with religious scene that represents a cloud, perhaps Elijah's assumption to heaven, which looks like a dome but can lead to a more modern representation that might make us think like a UFO. So they say that this is just a cloud. But that is a very unusual looking cloud. I've never seen a cloud like that. And also the fact that it looks like those fumes coming from the sky, but again, that could represent Elijah going into heaven. So we don't know, obviously, what was in the artist's mind. The artist was unknown and didn't leave any documentation behind. So I would love to know what you think about this one. Okay, I completely forgot to talk about the baptism of Christ from the year 1710. And I don't know how, because this is one of the most interesting representations of unusual things in the sky out of all the paintings. So I'm adding it in voiceover here. Baptism of Christ was painted by Aert de Gelder in 1710, and it has caused intrigue from many people. In the painting, John the Baptist can be seen baptizing Christ at the river Jordan in front of a large crowd, just like in the Bible as it is depicted. However, above all the people gathered to witness the event, there is an object in the sky that looks like a spaceship beaming light down. The reason why this is remarkable is because it does look like the stereotypical spaceship that you would see. Like if you asked a child to draw a spaceship, this is like what they would draw probably, like something from Star Trek, okay? People are curious about this painting. Of course, de Gelder was trying to capture the Bible verse, Matthew 3:16. And that reads, "As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him." So this is a very famous part of the Bible. And, you know, that's not what I picture when I picture this happening, but you never know. I mean, everybody's interpretation is different. The thing is, de Gelder's reputation that he was one of the elite artists of his time. So this work was intended to be taken seriously. This was not, you know, some like out there fringe artist. This was a serious work of art. This is one of the most remarkable ones that I found. And finally, we are going to look at our last one here. This is the Triumph of Summer tapestry from 1538. In 1538, a tapestry was created in the city of Bruges in Belgium, known as the Summer's Triumph. Okay, so this depicts the victorious ascension of a ruler to power. But there's something that is very interesting depicted in this tapestry. You would miss it if you don't look closely. You know, it's a very interesting tapestry, but if you look in the sky, you might miss this, but if you look closely, and I have them circled here for you, they have multiple objects in the sky here. And they have that classic UFO shape, that flying saucer shape. So it says here, the upper part of the tapestry depicts pieces of the sky where you could see at least 4 flying objects that look like inverted saucers. The main part of the tapestry shows the scene of the rise of the ruler to power. So you might think maybe that they're birds, but they really aren't birds. If you zoom in on them, that is not a bird. And they're not clouds either. They look quite dark. So there is no explanation for this. We don't know why they're there. Again, it's just incredible that a painting done in, or a tapestry rather, in 1538 would be able to depict this. And, you know, it makes me wonder, because these came first, obviously. So are our sci-fi visions of UFOs and flying saucers and things because of these works from art history? I don't know, but so many of these were unknown to me. I didn't know about any of them actually until I did the research on this. I had never heard of any of these works of art. But I would love to know what you think. Which work of art here was the most stunning to you in the sense that you thought that is a UFO? Like, that artist is capturing a UFO in this painting. So this really is not about whether you believe in aliens or not. The truth is that an unidentified flying object is just that, something flying in the sky that's not identified. We don't know what it is. And I think that all of these pictures, pretty much, except for maybe one of them, the one where it could have been clouds, they look like unidentified flying objects to me. They don't look like anything that would be in the natural world, or even from these depictions from the Bible or from these stories that we've all heard before. So again, a very interesting interpretation by the artist, and I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to hear your thoughts about it. Before we go, I'd like to share the Elegant Connoisseurs with you. They are the top tier of our membership program here in the Chic Society. Alan Watt with the 90-day memoir workshop starting September 18th. Jenny Williams from Carrot Top Paper Shop. Elaine Brisebois, certified nutritionist and women's weight loss coach. Ashley Buffa, Freedom Mom's Smart Kids Chore System. Guy Blaze, author of Love Like the French, a guide to better romance and relationships. Dr. Kate Philbin, transpersonal psychologist and professionally certified life and executive coach. Carrie Van Hooser, author of 'Tis the Season for Poetry. Louise Bromhead, psychologist, author of Illness Recovery Well-Being. Macondo Forever, woven placemats. Teresa Maples from Self-Care Routine Cards. Alan Scottish Shortbread. Sturm Brothers Custom Design and Fine Jewelry. Studio Duquesa Fine Art Branding and Stationery. The Apron Diva by Denise Jordan with pretty and practical aprons. And thank you to the following: Catherine Ray, Anne-Marie Ramsey, Catherine Higginbotham, Darby Zweifel, Jenny Candelaria, Jet Raleigh Heron, Gina K. Henry, Juliette Keeler-Lebien, Karen Lynn Interior Design, Lauren Maida, Linda Eckloff, Maria Condor, Moonshadow Welsh Ponies, and Royal Crow. Thank you so much. If you are interested in joining the Chic Society, I will leave the information down below. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Connoisseur. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know in the comments down below. I love creating these for you, and I also love learning and wondering right along with you. So in the meantime, keep calm and remain classy, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Thank you.